When did you realize that your parents were the actual monsters? When my 8-year-old sister whispered to me, he said mommy and daddy know but don't care. It all started when I was 14 and noticed my Uncle Larry acting strained around my little siblings. The first time he ever did anything, it was put my little sister Riley onto his lap during a movie. She tried to wiggle away, but he held her tight and kept whispering in her ear. My little brother Ethan looked uncomfortable too, especially when Larry kept rubbing his shoulders. I started watching closer after that. Larry would bring expensive toys, but only if my siblings gave him special hugs first. He'd insist on taking them to his car alone to show them something cool. Once I caught him trying to take them upstairs during a family party, and I pretended I needed their help in the kitchen right away. Finally, I told my parents what I was seeing. Mom got this shocked look on her face and Dad turned red. They said they'd handle it, and sure enough, Larry stopped coming around. I thought we were finally safe, and I honestly felt like the most protective and best big sister in the world. But then 3 months later, everything changed. We'd been living in this crappy 2-bedroom place with mold on the walls when suddenly my parents came in celebrating because they had just bought an apartment. It was in a nicer neighborhood, clean and 3-bedroom. Dad also had a new car all of a sudden, this year's make. Mom was wearing designer clothes. When I asked them how we could afford all this, they just said family helped out with an investment opportunity. I didn't question it much. I was just happy that my siblings and I didn't have to wear torn clothes anymore. But then one Sunday, about 2 months after moving in, Larry showed up for dinner like nothing had happened. My face went pale when I saw him. I instantly pulled Mom aside to ask her what he was doing here, but she dismissed me. She said that after careful reflection, she realizes I overreacted before. So they'd made amends with Larry, he was now welcome again. So I needed to stop being so dramatic and treating him like an outsider. I was in disbelief. And very soon, my uncle started pushing my siblings toward himself again. But this time it was even worse. My parents would deliberately orchestrate events where they'd be left alone with Larry. They'd tell him to go bring my brother outside so he could watch Larry change the tire, or encourage Larry to go upstairs and play dolls with my sister. It made me sick. I tried my best to protect them, but I knew I couldn't do it all the way. The breaking point came 12 weeks later. Larry's son was graduating and throwing this huge party at Larry's house, which was closer to a mansion than a house really. I remember begging my parents to let me and my siblings stay home, but they said no. They promised they'd keep their eye on Larry and that everything would be fine, but it wasn't. Because the second we arrived, Mom headed straight for the bar and Dad started networking with Larry's business contacts. I tried to keep my siblings with me until Larry announced a treasure hunt for all the kids with prizes hidden throughout the house. My siblings ran off with their cousins before I could stop them. I tried to follow, but Mom grabbed my arm and hissed at me to stop hovering over the little kids and embarrassing the family. She told me to relax, even tried giving me some beers so I could calm down, but I couldn't calm down. After an hour passed and my siblings hadn't returned, I began panicking. I snuck off and started searching. I looked by the pool house, the basement, every closet, and finally, after 45 minutes of searching, I heard Riley crying behind a locked bathroom door on the 3rd floor. I picked the lock with a bobby pin trick I'd learned, and inside, I found both my siblings huddled together on the floor, their clothes messed up, their thighs bruised, reeking of Larry's cologne. That's when Riley looked up at me with tears streaming down her face and said those words that changed everything. He said, "Mommy and Daddy know but don't care." I saw red. I picked up both of them up and carried them straight through the crowd to where Larry's son was giving a toast about thanking everyone. I set them down, told them to stay put, and made the bravest decision of my life. I interrupted the toast. I stormed right up and grabbed that damn microphone off Larry's son. Everyone looked shocked. I didn't do some dramatic pause or calculated story. I was sobbing, emotional, and just let everything out. How Larry was a predator. How my siblings were currently sobbing in a closet because of what he did to them minutes ago. And how my parents knew what Larry was doing the whole time, but never said a thing about it. People's jaws dropped. Everyone's attention instantly turned to Larry and my parents. They started shaking their heads and backing away. My dad and Larry actually tried to run, but my older cousins blocked them and held them down. Police were called. An investigation was started. My siblings were taken away. Me and them were placed with our grandparents while the whole debacle went on. And what was found was truly disturbing, as I'm sure you can guess. My parents sold my siblings' innocence for what they had. Larry bought them the apartment, the car, the designer clothes, and in exchange, they agreed to turn a blind eye to him doing what he wanted to my siblings. I felt sick when I found out. They're all in jail now. Mom and Dad doing 5 years, Larry doing 15. My siblings are a little better now. We all live with our grandparents. And though it's not perfect, it's safe. And that's all we can ask for.